Welcome to Real Estate Success DFW, the podcast where top producing agents from Dallas-Fort Worth come together to share their stories and strategies behind their success. I'm Shaune Corbett, your host, and with over 300 million sold in the local real estate market and the honor of being best of breed multiple times, I know what it takes to make it in this market. Each episode, we're going to dive into the world of real estate, learning from the very best in the industry. If you're ready to level up your game, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hey everyone, Shaune Corbett here with Real Estate Success DFW. I have got a special guest, Jeff Morrell from Colorado Springs. Hey Jeff, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Real good. Probably don't need to talk a whole lot about Jeff. He's got so much out there. He's pretty famous. I've known him, I think, somewhere around 7.5 years or so. I think when we used to meet in person a couple times a year, we would go to annual events together, and I've seen him. And then you'd bring some of your agents with you and, try to help, coaching them and training them. I remember a few of the dinners that we had together. Very interesting guy. He'll teach you about, was it trapeze artist?
Yeah, lots of
Circus.
Stories. Lots of
Is
stories.
that where we're going to start? Yeah, I think we should
yeah.
start there. So you
Let's
did
start
that.
there.
Did you meet, is that where you met your wife? Was it at?
No. Yeah, she's not a circus person. So, this was all during like junior high and high school.
Okay.
My first year of college. Yeah, my hometown back in Peru, Indiana, a small town, about like 12,000 people. And it's got a big history going back into the like early 1900s with when circuses were really big. I know it sounds crazy, but all the big circuses back in the day, Ringling Brothers, like all these, they all travel by train. My hometown had like 5 railroad tracks that intersected different companies that intersected in town. And so these people, like they would travel like 9 months out of the year, 3 months wintertime, they'd stop, take a break, do a new show, that kind of stuff. But they had people who lived there all year round, like all the farming around there. So they'd come back with these train loads of elephants, all the animals. And you go around my hometown to this day, out in the outskirts, there's all these huge barns and these old like circus quarters. Like this is where they would live for the wintertime. Well, anyway, circuses died out. A lot of them during the Depression. Some of them kept going, whatever, Ringling and some of them. But anyway, all these people, the only place they really knew was home. A lot of them were European and different things, they'd come in or whatever. And the place they knew was home. The only place they settled down pretty much the time, 3 months out of the year was my hometown. So they all came back there and raised their families there, whatever. Well, then in 1959, there was a group of them that got together and, hey, let's get out some of the old equipment and we'll do a show on the courthouse lawn. And so they did, and it drew a big crowd, whatever. And then the next year, 1960, they were like, let's go to the high school and get some of the high school kids. We'll teach them to do what we did, and we'll put on a show. And they did. It was huge, and that's gone on now for whatever to this day. They just had their 75th anniversary. 75th? I forget. Anyway, somewhere in there, 76. But anyway, it's huge. I mean, it's just so I was able to get into it. It was about 300 kids every year. They start like 6 years old. I got in when I was like in 6th grade. And I learned so much through that thing. I had a great time with it, first of all. And it's a full-blown, like, flying trapeze and, 6-man pyramid on the high wire. I mean, like, it's a big-time stuff, but it's all junior high and high school kids doing it. I mean, so it's pretty amazing to watch. I love going back there to this day.
Is it hard to make a lifestyle raising a family on that?
Yeah, I never had the intention of like becoming a professional circus person, but I have some friends that are. I've got several friends that are with Ringling and Cirque du Soleil and all that kind of stuff to this day that come from my hometown. So anyway, great times. Here's one of the things I've learned. I just want to share this because I think one of the things it taught me was that, wow, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. You know what I mean? Because as a kid, I remember going to the show and I'm like amazed by this. These are like kids, whatever. And I never thought like I could never do that. And then you go in there and you train every day. Hours, like daily, whatever. And then here comes July, and now you're ready to put on this show. 10 shows, 2,000 people in the arena for each show, whatever. And you did it. Like you can now do these things that these people I hear, they're like, holy cow, how's that 13-year-old, balancing a pole on his head, while girls climb to the top and do all these tricks. I mean, like I did that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't do that. No, you can if you just put your mind to it. And I kind of carried that on to this day. Like, don't tell me I can't do something. It just puts a fire into me like, okay, fine, I'm going to prove you wrong. I've just kind of always had that mentality. And I think it goes back to those days, I just learned I could do anything. So
I like that. I was going to say, how do we parallel that with coming back to real estate? Huh?
Yeah.
And most agents, they lose
Hey, we're
confidence pretty
juggling a
quick.
lot of things in real estate. There's all kinds of things we go down that
Well,
road.
and a lot of agents just lose confidence. They don't have the confidence they can do things. They can't make cold calls, or they can't follow up on
Mhm.
buyers because they ghosted them for a week, and they just start losing this confidence that, well, I'm just not able to do this opportunity.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of things. I always tell people, don't let someone's no stop you from doing your why,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
Yeah, you got to
100%.
have
But
something that drives you, and that is your fuel, and don't let their no discourage you from achieving your goals.
yeah. And I do think one of the biggest parts of this business is what goes on right here. This space, this 6 inches right here, between here and here, whatever, like it all starts there. I don't know. What is it, Henry Ford? I think the quote, if you think you can do it, you can do it. If you don't think you can do it, you won't do it. I mean, that's a variation of that quote, but it's like that thing. Put your mind to it. But we have to be working on this. I mean, all these books over here, like I didn't have these books, when I started real estate 23 years ago. This whole side, that side over there, that's just dumb stuff to read, just to take my mind off things. This stuff over here is all mindset stuff. 90% of it. It's business books and mindset stuff. And to this day, I still work on it because we can all go through those ups and downs with this business, this market, all kinds of stuff. So working on this is a key place to start, I think.
Do you read or you do audibles?
I do both. I prefer reading, honestly. Like, I know everybody learns differently. I tend to lose some focus sometimes, but here's when I do the audible. Like a lot of times in the car, I'll do it. Or when I'm walking, I'll go for walks around the neighborhood, take the dogs out, go for, I try and do whatever, several miles a day, typically when I go walk, and I'm always listening to a book. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's fantastic. Is there a good book, and I know you could probably name a number of them, but maybe one in the recent year, or just one you say, hey, every agent should read these one or two books? Do you have some quick ones right offhand that you think about?
I mean, there's the one that probably everybody, if you haven't read it, definitely read it. So many of us have, but I go clear back to like Think and Grow Rich. I mean, it was the very first book that my first broker gave me the first day I walked in the office. And I'll be honest, when I got that book, it came home and it sat on a shelf, and I didn't read it for the first probably year and a half. And when I got into coaching and I got around these guys who were big agents, and we can talk about that in a bit, but I realized, like, wait, they've all read this book. I'm like, I got to pick up this book and read. And that kind of started that journey of that personal development. There's one I'm reading right now, Tell to Win, Peter Guber. It's about stories, how to tell stories and how important stories are. And I think about testimonials, going into different listing presentations, buyer presentations. It's like, facts tell, stories sell. I can tell them all the numbers. I can tell them my stats. I can tell them the state of the market and all that kind of stuff. But telling them stories is what gets people, like, that's what wins people over. Tell stories about, people that have worked with you and how that worked. And here's what they said. And having those stories, an arsenal of stories, I think is key in this business as well. So I'm reading that book right now, Tell to Win. That's a great book, current book. So
I think often most agents miss out on that opportunity where facts tell, stories sell, and they do. Create some type of parallel scenario that relates to that client's situation, and you'll go a lot farther than, your house is $332 per square foot, and the average market is 14 days. What if we go beyond that and really kind of get to the motivation and understanding them, and stories really do connect with the audience? I think that's a really good
huge,
lesson for people to walk away with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know you were on the front cover of RP, Real Producers, and every market's got a Real Producers. I was fortunate; I was on the May cover this year, and I just did my whole family. I know you had you and your wife on the front cover of the one you guys did. What was that experience like?
It was great. I mean, I was honored to be picked. I mean, the guy, here in town that runs the magazine called me up, and we met for coffee, my wife and I, and he said, hey, we know you guys have been around for a long time. You've done so much in this business and in this town. Like, we'd love to feature you on the cover and do a cover story. So you go to the inside and there's pictures of our kids and all that kind of stuff, whatever. They did, I don't know, it was probably a 6 or 7 page article. I mean, it was pretty long, but it was an honor to be picked for that.
I love
a lot
that.
of people think it's like a pay to play kind of thing. There's those magazines out there too.
Sure.
You see, where you can pay and be able to. It's maybe good marketing or something. Some people can see around that stuff.
It's
but this was
incredible
something they
marketing,
just called,
and it's not pay to play because the vendors are paying for everything, not the agents, right? So
Yeah.
it's a great strategy. I mean, it is a little bit, there's some politics with everything,
Sure.
You got to know the right people and connect with them. They don't just say, okay, the top 10 are going in this year. No, they want people that are going to have a story to share, and that's going to make their magazine interesting. And it's for agents by agents, right? It's not
Yes.
really meant for retail,
Mhm.
but you can certainly use it to your advantage and, post it everywhere in social media and stuff.
No, I take it with me on every listing appointment, and we don't go through the magazine. I just show them, like, as I'm kind of building up some of my credibility for these people.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I know and you're in Colorado Springs. Like, if I didn't mention that earlier, I know you hit top 20 in a very short amount of time. What is it about? How did you get there in such a short amount of time and break into a market that was new for you?
When I first got started, my first broker, great guy, him and his wife, my wife and I, we were out to dinner one night, and he's like, "Hey, you should get your license. Come work with me. You'd be great at this." And I had been working with my father-in-law, real estate development. 9/11 had hit, and all of his projects just came to a screeching halt. Like, there was nothing to do. Every meeting, everything just stopped for a couple, 2, 3 months. And anyway, he had me on a salary, but there was nothing to do. I mean, I felt guilty for taking his money. Like, I'm just like any other. I mean, he'd have let me go if I wasn't his son-in-law, and I hated that feeling. And so anyway, Miguel Silva, my first broker, we were out to dinner, and he said that, and I talked to my father-in-law. He said, "Yeah, you'd be great at it. Go for it. Whatever." And I think it was honestly probably a relief for him because he's paying me every month. I mean, there was just nothing to do. And so I went and got my license, and I went to go work with Miguel. I didn't interview anywhere. I just went to go work with him. A1 real estate professionals, 5 agents in a house that he bought downtown Colorado Springs, turned it into an office. No sign, no nothing, whatever, which is fine. And I'm in there, and he was just great guy, but he'd been doing it for 25 years. There was no website. Of course, this is 2002. The internet was there, not as big as what it is now. But still, it was like he was just very old school. My first day in the office, I walk in, and he, takes me to a place that he had set up for me as an office upstairs, and in this room, puts the white pages down in front of me. Here's a piece of paper. We role play on a script for about 5 minutes, and he's like, "Okay, go for it." And oh my gosh, I'm sitting there all day long making these cold calls, just getting screamed at and all this other stuff. Some people love it. It's just not my thing, whatever. But I did it because that's what he told me to do. 5 days later, it's a Saturday. He's like, "Okay, bring your business cards. Meet me at Starbucks." So we met at Starbucks. We sit there for about an hour. "How's your first week? And how you doing? And what can I help you with?" And whatever. And he's like, "Okay, leave your car here. Come with me." Drops me off in a neighborhood on the east side of Colorado Springs. It's 10 a.m. I'll be back here at 4 to pick you up. Go get him. I'm like, holy cow. I'm out there knocking on doors for 6 hours in January in Colorado Springs, in this neighborhood. Just like, had stories to tell that night for my wife. We had some laughs over it, some of the things that happened that day. I don't know if I ever got a deal out of it, but I'm just like, if this is what real estate is, like, I'm out. I don't want to do this. This is horrible to me. I don't want people knocking on my door. Like, just go away, And so that night I started searching for a website. I got to find a website. And I found a website that was tied to Craig Proctor. I didn't know Craig. I'd never heard of Craig, whatever. Craig at the time was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world out of Toronto, Canada. So I buy this website. It was like $300 a month. I start working on setting up my website. Well, then I start getting, I was kind of in Craig's funnel. We didn't call them funnels back then, but I'm in his system now. I'm start getting dripped on all this stuff. He's got this super conference coming up in June in Phoenix. So it was $2,000, but I'm seeing all the reviews and some of the agents who are going there. I think I called a couple of them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, if you can get there, get there. Phenomenal." And so I went to this conference, and I'm around literally some of the best agents in the business to this day. I mean, these guys doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year in commission, just big brokers, agents, team leaders, like whatever. I learned a long time ago, you become who you hang around, good or bad. We've all been down those roads, And I want to be around these guys. Well, I got to join Craig's coaching program. Put 14 grand on a credit card. Didn't tell my wife for 6 months. She's absolutely going to kill me. But I'm like, I know this can work. And through that system, weekly calls with a coach, accountability, weekly calls with Craig, all this stuff that went into that program, I learned marketing. I learned ways to set myself apart from other agents. And so anyway, like, here's what I learned with that. So my first year, I did probably 5 or 6 deals. My first 6 months in the business, I did 32 to end the year. 26, 27 of those deals came from what I was learning with Craig Proctor. I ended up doing 50 deals my second year, 72 my third. And 2.5 years into it, I broke into the top 20 in town out of 5,000 agents here. Now, here's what I learned with that. You're the brand. EXP is not the brand. Keller Williams in the brand. Remax in the brand. Coldwell Banker's not the brand. You're the brand. Who's this guy? 2.5 years in the business. Nobody's heard of me. And I'm in the top 20 in town with this little company called A1 Real Estate Professionals. You don't worry about what company you're at. You're the brand. And I learned that. And I just learned marketing, ways to set myself apart. So I'd walk into a listing appointment and I'm the fourth one in. They've met with 3 other realtors before me and they're signing on with me because I had all this stuff to make myself different from the others that they met with. And they're paying me more on the commission.
What specifically about that, right? I mean, that's a big step to go from brand new to be in the top 20. That's obviously an incredible opportunity to even get there. But many of the agents are always looking, they want the quick, cheap thing to fix whatever it is quick. Obviously, it's going to be more than that. So when you said you do things that set yourself apart, did you come in and bring some coffee and throw some donuts down and said, let's just have a conversation? I mean, what specifically are you doing that's going to set them apart? Or if you have some tips, like being who you are, what did you do?
100%. Yeah. I think here's the thing. I think just you got to figure out, like, why should a seller, if you're on a listing appointment or even a buyer appointment, why should they hire you? And it can't just be, I'm going to work hard for you. That's not going to do it. Oh, I'm a great guy. It's like, my friends love me. You're going to love me. I mean, it's like, that's not going to, this is, we all hear, this is the biggest financial transaction they're going to make in their lives. Why should they hire you to lead them and guide them and represent them through that process? It's got to be something in there that makes you stand out. So one of the things that I did, and I learned it, again, it's marketing, but we had these things in place to just try, how can I take the risk away from the buyer? How can I take the risk away from the seller? One of the things that we did for buyers, okay? So, I was the only one in town that did this. I had an 18-month buyer guarantee. Okay, now, and that you could do this at no risk whatsoever. Okay, here was my guarantee. You have 18 months. If you work with me to help you find a home, if you're unhappy with that home purchase, anytime within the first 18 months, I will either buy it back from you or I'll sell it for free. Takes all the risk away from a buyer buying that home. And so again, did I ever have to take them up on that? Now, first of all, that buy it back program, that was part of a guaranteed sale program. And talk about that in a second. I never had to buy a home back. There were conditions in there, okay? Because it's my program. I set the rules, okay? So part of that was they have to be buying another home with me. So let's say they're getting, they lost their job and they need to go back to renting, whatever. Like, I will help them through that and I'll work with them on that, but I'm not going to sell it for free because they're not buying another home with me. That's the condition on it. They're moving out of state. It's military. They're getting transferred. I can sell your home. I can work with you on it, and I'll work with you because we just bought it, a year ago or whatever. But I'm not going to sell it for free because you're not buying another home with me. Now, there's different things I could do with that. I could refer them to an agent, get the referral fee. I'll cut down on the commission over here, but I'm not going to sell it for free. Okay.
Right.
So, but I would have this. Maybe 5 or 6 times I had this happen where it's like, my gosh, and I would tell them, like, look, any reason whatsoever, too far of a drive to work. I don't know, another kid's on the way, unexpected. We're going to need more space, whatever. This isn't as big as we thought. We don't like the next door neighbors. I mean, whatever it is, I got you covered. So I would get buyers. They've met with 3 or 4 different agents, or there's 4 or 5 agents sending them properties trying to win their business. I throw out that guarantee and they're signing on with me all day long. 5 or 6 times I had to take up that offer where, we're going to sell it for free. Here's what I did. We had a commission for the other agent that was in there, and they all signed off on this before we ever even bought the first house, right? So they know they're going to pay a commission to the other side, but I will do it at 0 on my side. But I'm going to get paid when they buy the next house. So I'm not working for free in that sense. I'm still going to get paid. So that was one that brought me a lot of buyer business. The guaranteed sale program worked really well for me. Still does. Your homes, and you could do this in different ways where there's really no risk. Your home sold, take your days on market, maybe add like a week to it or 10 days or something like that, make it, a little bit comfortable, whatever. But, right now as days on market's going up all over the country, everywhere, homes are sitting there. Your home sold in 39 days guaranteed, or I'll sell it for free. You could work that. I'd do that. Your home sold in 59 days guaranteed, or I'll pay you $3,000 at closing. I'll gladly do that one. I'll sell it and get the $15,000 commission. I'll give you $3,000 back. I mean, I do that all day long. I did the guaranteed sale. Your home sold in 89 days guaranteed, or I'll buy it.
Well, I mean, you're satisfying a condition that buyers and sellers are going to have. There's so much uncertainty, they don't know what to expect. And
Exactly.
anybody can make guarantees in a space that they're comfortable with,
Yeah.
whatever that guarantee would be. So they don't have to mirror what you're doing, but they can. There's plenty of opportunities out there, and there's not going to be another Jeff, right? I always teach that I can share everything that I'm doing, and you're still not going to be me at the end of the day, and I'm not going to be you. So you're welcome to do whatever I think's worked for me, and you think it's going to work for you. You can try,
Hmm.
and I don't have a problem sharing all of the things that I've done and had success with.
Yeah.
But I've heard the guarantee offer, and I know. I don't know if it was Andy or someone else. They would do expensive billboards, and they would offer those type of things and guarantees, expensive billboards, and they would put them out there, and they would just get a regular rotation of opportunities from people calling from those type of guarantees, or I'll buy your house. How do you honor the buy your house option?
So again, the way it worked was they had to be buying another house. They had to be buying one of my listings and moving up. It's a move up program. Okay.
Okay,
Now it was very rare. I'd usually carry 15 to 20 listings at a time, my team and I. It was very rare that one of those listings was going to work for that seller to move
sure,
up
of
to.
course, of
Okay. Every
course.
now and then it would. Okay. If it didn't, I would still flip it around and how you're going to still get the back end benefits of this guarantee. Okay. None of these listings work for you right now. I'm going to be getting new listings. If one comes up along the way while you're still listed, I'll send you my new listings. And if any of them works for what you're working for, we'll put the guarantee in place. Okay. I'll buy your home so you can buy the new home that I got listed. Now, here's the thing though. Let's say none of them apply, whatever. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to put a sign out front of your house, a sign rather that says buy this home and I'll buy yours. So I will buy somebody else's house so they can buy your house. So you're still going to get the benefits of the guarantee. It's just going to be on the back end instead of directly with you. So again, we're going to draw more attention, on your house. We're going to get more calls in the house. It's going to open up doors. You don't want a contingent offer. They could sit here tie your house up for 3 months and their home doesn't sell. We're
For
going to
sure.
take care of that. We're going to cover that. It made the phone ring and I got in the door. Many, many times the people didn't qualify for the program, but I would still get the listing because I had all these ways to work that. Now, if they were actually, here's a house, we want to buy it. And let's say it was a new listing I got a month after the process. They've been on the market for 30 days. We would write up a contract on that house. Okay. My offer to my sellers was 95% of the list price. That was like my final offer. Okay. But we had price reductions in there, 4 price reductions going over the next, if it was 89 days, I'd break them up over the next 70 days, give myself some room. And every time the home would sell at those lower prices if we had to do that. I never
So
had
you're
to buy them.
buying it after discounting it on the sales price. Then at that point, we'll do the 95% of that, which
Exactly.
is, obviously the commission, buy side commission, and then you've got the cost of sell.
Right,
So you
right.
kind of build
And I'm
that as a
taking my
hedge.
commission out. By the
That's
time we
right.
get down to this price, it's like, again, it's going to sell before we get down to that price. That's what
Okay.
always happened. But again, sellers thrilled, with
Yeah.
it. I mean, it made the phone ring off the hook.
Well, they knew they were going to sell. I mean, at that point, they feel like the risk of not selling is no longer the issue. Now this is obviously the opportunity now because nobody can sell anything.
Hmm.
So are these things you're still offering now? You just get a lot more aggressive on the escalation clause of getting them to drop the price and then getting
Yeah,
to
yeah, you can
okay.
do that. And I do that now, even if we're not doing the guaranteed sale program. I mean, I still, there's been many times where I'll just and again, like a seller right now, so many sellers I go meet with and they're still stuck in 2021,
Yep.
22. Well, I think it's worth this. And I mean, maybe 2 years ago it was, but let me look at this. I think taking a CMA into a house, you got to do like a CMA, but I almost to some degree, that's not even viable right now. You almost have to forecast it, because the way prices are coming out, days on market going up, it's like you got to be looking ahead. Something that closed 3 or 4 months ago, even might not be a good comp today in a lot of markets.
Correct. Yeah.
You got to
It
be
wasn't
viable
on
with it.
mine. In my neighborhood, my neighbor, I listed their house, and the exact house sold for $95,000 more than what I currently have it listed for. And I still could not get any type of activity. And it was just 4 months ago.
Yeah.
I had one agent show me this. I forget what she calls it. It's a type of CMA, but she actually goes through each year and shows the trend. kind of like the way appraisers might consider things. So we go through and start doing these trends. And if you need to micro it, you can do every 6 months, every 3 months. And you start running the trend. You say, look, at the trend we're going, you're here, but it's down here, right? And you're going to see the trend line. And the trend line is showing that it's worth far less than what you thought it was. And even 2 years ago, that's not a market that exists today. So that's not even realistic. And the other thing you can do is I take them and go look at the competing houses.
Perfect. Yep.
If
Exactly.
I don't have any other way, then I take the emotion out of it. I said, hey, you're going to be a buyer today. We're going to go look at the other house in the neighborhood and we're going to see where they are and they're not selling. Now let's get more realistic about what we need to do to get our house to move.
Yeah. Let's compare your kitchen to their kitchen. Is your kitchen better or not as good or the same? What do you think? I mean, let's just talk
Sure.
about it. Let's just be realistic.
Yeah.
Let's look at the layout. Let's look at the master bedroom. Let's look at all these different things and compare. I want you to see this is what buyers are going to see when they come look at your house. They're going to look at these three houses also.
That's right.
And we got to be priced right compared to these. Do you want to sit on the market for, are you just looking to list your house or do you want to sell your house? We want to sell it. And honestly, I turned one down here just recently. I mean, we walked in and, they were just like, well, let's try it at this. We don't have to move. We just want to see what it does. I'm like, and I honestly I could not get them to budge when it came to just that pricing. And I'm like, I'm just not your let's try it guy. I'm sorry. I mean, I wish you well, but I just think this probably just isn't a good fit. And I walked away. Don't be afraid to do that. Because you know how it works. I mean, 3 months later, they're screaming at you because nobody's coming to look at their house and all this kind of stuff, and they're still stuck on their price and they're blaming you. I just don't need it. I don't need the headache. And honestly, that house, it is on the market right now. They're stuck. They listed at that price. It's just it's been on the market for, I don't know, it's 80 days or something like that. They have not budged on the price.
A lot of us have lots of stories like that right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about agents and success, right? Because there are so many that don't make it. And right now we're at
Can I hit one more thing, Shaune, real quick
ahead.
on that? Is that okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Just one thought, because I think one of the things when it comes to pricing right now, I think it's so key. So many sellers have really good equity from the last several years. And I think it's really key to try and figure out, just really get to, why are they making this move? Why do they want to sell? Well, we want to we got to get closer to the grandkids in Illinois. I mean, we're dying to get there. This is so big for us. Scale of 1 to 10. How important is it? Oh, it's a 10. It's like, it gives you okay, here's what they want to do. And I've seen this with sellers that I've worked with where it's like how much do you need? Let's say they think the house is worth $450,000. Okay. And I think it's probably going to sell about $420,000. Let's just be realistic. I mean, whatever they're saying, $450,000 stuck 2 years ago. I'm like, okay, how much do you need to be able to make all of this happen? For you to be able to get this house sold, you pay all the title fees, the closing costs, all the stuff that you need to do. You're given a check and you drive off to Illinois to buy that next house. How much do you need to do that? Well, we need $450,000. This is the answer you get a lot of times. No. That's not what I'm asking you. How much do you need? Well, if we had $125,000, that could work. And also, when you start running the numbers with them, sometimes, okay, let's look at it. $450,000. You're walking away with $175,000. What's more important to you? Just what the neighbors think. Whatever. I don't want to sell it low because what are they all going to think? No. What's more important? You just told me it was a 10 out of 10 for you to get there. We can sell it down here at 125, and you're still going to make $140,000. You're still going to be over what you really need to make to do it. Is it worth just sitting there for the sake of what people are going to think, or do you just want to get it sold so you can make that move and get closer to your grandkids? What's more important? I mean, really, the grandkids, right? Yeah, you're right. Okay, and now and again, so having those kind of conversations, I think sometimes with sellers right now, why do you need to do it? Scale of 1 to 10. What is that? And you can, and figure that out. Have those kind of conversations. Sure. Pricing is so key right now. And sometimes sellers do get stuck because, again, they're just more worried about, it's almost an ego thing to some degree.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
That aside. They said, let's get you done.
My house is worth this. I can't sell it for that. And I think that goes for all things, all buyers and sellers. If we can ever get to the motivation, we can really cut through a lot of the other things that aren't relevant. And that's, I don't have a listing presentation or a buyer presentation. I generally only work with people I know, like, and trust. And I just go straight for the motivation every time. I don't have anything I need to present because we're going to have a conversation and see if it makes sense. You've got to be motivated enough to be able to do this. And right now, we're in a space right now, your price has to be force buyers to buy in some cases. And I can't tell them that, but that's really what we got to do. We got to price it to a point where it forces buyers. We got to buy it.
Yeah.
It's
too good of a deal
price
to walk away from.
Yeah. There are a lot of agents that don't make it today. Why do you think a lot of them, so many fail? And I realize the market has not been good for a lot of us in general, but beyond that, there's still a pretty high turnover in our business. I mean, we're all contractors. We can work and do whatever we want. There's the dream of I get to work my own schedule and make millions of dollars, which very, very few ever reach that point.
Yeah.
Why do you think the turnover or so many agents fail?
I think one of the things I've seen 23 years of doing this is just it takes a real discipline to be your own boss. It takes a real drive, the why that you talked about, that's huge. But I've seen this so many times where people come in and I'm my own boss now. And so here's what happens a lot of times. It's just like, they'll sleep till 9, whatever. They'll get up and have their breakfast and scroll through social media and maybe make a couple posts or something. And then they go to the gym, and then they come back and now it's lunchtime. They'll have lunch. And now from 1 to 3, they make some calls. It's happy. I got to go meet some friends, whatever, whatever. I'm my own boss, whatever. It's just like, and you really put in about 2 or 3 hours into your business. Like, it's just never going to work that way.
Right.
There's just got to be that discipline that you are building a business, and building a business is hard. It's going to take work. It's going to take effort. I wouldn't do anything different, but it is going to take a lot of work to really, truly get to that point where you have a true business that will sustain you and maintain you without having to go get a second job or third job and all this kind of stuff.
Sure.
I'm seeing agents do.
Yeah, you got to be intentional, right? I mean, no one's intentional, and a lot of them are just like, well, I'll wait for the business to come to me. I know even for me, and I know you obviously beyond just us talking on here, and I know you office out of the house. I don't think that's a good fit for me. So I actually have an office I go to, and I sit here for, 6 to 7 hours straight working on either scripts for training or following up with all of my own personal sphere, calling them and staying in front of them, or I'll do trainings out of my office. I'm really, really hyper intentional about focusing, and I have no distractions here. There is nothing fun and exciting in my place that I work at.
Yeah.
So I'm hyper intentional about that. And I think most agents don't take it that serious.
Yeah.
They don't.
100%. I mean, I think they come in with just a really misconstrued idea of what this is going to be to make it work. So I think that discipline, the intentionality, like you talked about, I do think now too, just even, again, setting yourself apart. I'm talking to agents every day of the week right now. I mean, Monday through Saturday, I'm on the phone talking to different agents coming to me looking for help, looking for ways to grow their business, stuck. I could go into any office in town right now here in Colorado Springs, and I want to get into some training with you guys. Like what show me what you got. I mean, they're still teaching cold calling. They're still teaching door knocking. They're still and again, does it work? It works. But are you ever going to really build and scale a business doing that? In my opinion, no. I think you got to keep up to some degree. I'll give you one example. I had a guy. This is interesting to me. I had a guy, I'm doing webinars, showing people, again, just helping people with their businesses, different things we're doing, funnels and stuff to bring in more leads, that kind of stuff. I had a guy, this is about probably 3 weeks ago. He's in Virginia. He gets on my webinar. He set up a call with me to dig in deeper into his business, afterwards. So we got online. I'm not kidding you. When he turned his camera on Zoom, my very first line out of my mouth, I was like, how old are you? Because he looked like he was like 13, I swear to you. And he says, I'm 18. I said, wow. I said, okay. Are you in college? Or he's like, no, I just graduated high school in May. I'm like, oh, wow. And you're a realtor? He's like, yeah, I got my license, a month later. And I'm like, wow.
It's a tough business to get into at 18, real tough.
But here's the thing. Here's what happened though. He said, I said, well, how's it going so far? You've been licensed for 6 weeks. How's it going? He's like, well, I got 3 under contract. He said, I'm like, really? I'm like, man, good for you. I'm like, that's so awesome. I was just like building this kid. I was blown away by it. But here's one of the things I realized as I was having this conversation with him. He's been on this thing for 10 years. He's been in YouTube for 10 years. He knows it back. He's had a YouTube channel of his own outside of real estate. Technology, he's keeping up with things. And I don't think technology is not going to replace the real estate agent. But agents who are keeping up with it to some degree, we can't just bury our head in the sand with some of this stuff going on. The 80-20 rule that exists out there and everything, I really truly believe that it's becoming the 90-10 rule in real estate. I really do. I think 10% of the agents are capturing more and more market share because they're keeping up with some of this technology. And you look at all the newer people coming in and younger people, they're ready for this stuff. They've been doing reels on Instagram for for years. They've been doing all this kind of stuff that a lot of us older people, you either keep up with some of that or your market share is going to continue to go down. They might not be great agents. He's not a great agent yet. He doesn't even know what he's doing. Okay, he's learning it fast. But if you keep up with that technology, what is that doing for people? So I was excited when I saw this. It is hard for most people to get in, but again, you got to keep up with some of this stuff, and it can put you miles ahead of those that are still trying to do the old school traditional stuff. It all works, but not to the degree that we can do with technology. Powerful stuff out there.
Yeah, I know you and I are in that same space, so we talk about that. So it's not that AI is replacing us or technology specifically, and there's so many nuances and things about what we do that AI isn't able to do it for sure today. In 5 years, Jeff, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's there's going to be certainly artificial agents in space to do a lot of the grunt work and things that we might be in our space, right? I mean, AI is certainly acid to lawyers today. I mean, I can get on and have it search every court case associated with whatever I'm fighting, and then it compiles it all. Then I can give it to an attorney and only, run up 2 or 3 hours, not 15, 20 hours, right? I mean, there are certain spaces that AI is really taking a major bite out of.
For sure.
And the sentiment today is that they're not replacing us, agents, not replacing agents, but agents that do adapt to the technology are replacing the ones that don't. And that's certainly, they're going to continue to die out. Some of them are older, they're never going to adapt to it, and they're dying out on their own sphere. Once that sphere is gone, they're not replacing it with modern buyers and sellers that are way faster than they are. They're already moving beyond where they're at. That's an important thing that people need to take away.
Yeah. YouTube. I mean, every day I talk to agents. Oh, I'm just not good on camera. Oh, I just don't want to be on camera. Oh, I understand it, but you got to do something with it. Video is where it's going. Everything's going there. You can fight it all you want to. You are going to lose out on just tons of market share.
Yeah, it's not about being
with it,
right. It's not about being good on YouTube. It's just putting yourself out there to create an organic reach. Like, be who you are in that space. It allows people to connect with you in a way that they can't from a website, right?
Yeah.
Or they
texting,
can't
emailing, none of that replaces when they actually can just see you. Sending out a video text to new leads coming in.
Absolutely.
Hey, make it personal. Hey, John, thanks so much for getting on my website. I just want to introduce myself. I've been in the business for blah, 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 whatever. If I can help you in any way, please let me know. Just a quick 30-second video text to a new lead that comes in, you just set yourself apart from every other agent because nobody's doing it. And there's just an emotional connection that is made that is you can't do from a regular text or automated drip email or anything like that, So just little things like that can make such a difference. Videos there's a difference there.
For people wanting to connect with you, I will post your YouTube and your Facebook and your link tree. I'll post those.
Sure.
But I know you have one particular one that you've mentioned already is the webinar that you do 1 to 2 times a week. So I'll also get the link from you and I'll post that as well. Tell us quickly about that.
Yeah, no. So back we call them funnels now, whatever. I've been doing this kind of marketing. You've done it. We've all done it over the years. Where way back in the day, I was putting newspaper ads out when I first got with Craig Proctor, and so I'd run an ad, and we would test it. It'd be the same ad with 5 different domain names, whatever, and one domain name would always pull in more than everybody else. Well, I knew to double down on that domain name and stop doing the others. And so testing your marketing very key. But I would get people to come in. I'd give them what they asked for, whatever it was, 27 tips to get more money when you sell your house. Just this kind of stuff. But now they're in my system, and I would send them, newsletters and market updates and this kind of stuff. They were in my funnel. We just didn't call them funnels back then. Well, now, with technology, we've been able to develop the last several years here, just some really powerful funnels. New construction. That's a key one right now. A new construction funnel. Running an ad for a lot of our agents are doing $10 a day. Whatever. We had one lady in Florida. She ran an ad we turned on a new construction ad. New construction right now, because of all the incentives out there with the builders and stuff, she turns on this ad, $10 a day. In 2 weeks, she had 212 leads, 3 buyers she put under contract, picked up 5 new buyers that signed agreements with her in 2 weeks. We have a guy in Texas, just got licensed, about 4 months ago. He turned on his new construction funnel, 53 leads in a month. Spent $300 on his ads. He put 3 under contract. Whatever. Like, I mean, that's a great return on your $300 ad spend. Like we're just teaching agents how to do these funnels. Waterfront, new construction, acreage, first-time buyer, military, just all these different funnels that we've worked on and put together. And for agents that partner up with us, there's no fee to that. There's no monthly. There's nothing. Whatever. But I'm showing agents how to do it. So I've got a webinar that I do, once or twice a week, where we're just showing agents how to do that. Here's my thing, Shaune. I think, 23 years now being in this business and being very blessed in this business. I'm grateful for this business. It's been huge for us, my wife and my kids and I, whatever. I love pouring back into the agents. I really do. I love finding new agents. I love finding agents. I had a lady here just recently. She's been in business 20 years and she just felt like she was getting left behind with technology. She's still doing a lot of the old stuff. I've got to get up with some of this stuff. She saw my webinar, came in, she joined us, whatever. She's off to a great start. We got her funnels up. She's working them, whatever. It's just new stuff. She had to keep up. She's learning AI. She's learning YouTube. She's getting YouTube videos done. We've been working with her on that. It's like just helping her keep up. So I love working with all these different agents. If I could just mention this one last thing or whatever, and I'll go as long as you want, Shaune. Back 10 years ago, I go in for just an annual checkup and got diagnosed with prostate cancer. Now, we caught it early. Grateful to God for that. Had surgery, clean bill of health ever since. But there's a perspective that changes with that. We're all chasing the next deal. We're all chasing the next goal. We all want to be the biggest and the best and the awards and all this kind of stuff. I'm just telling you, all that goes away when something like that happens. The next deal doesn't matter. Being in the top 5% in the nation doesn't matter. Like, who cares? The next award that I'm going to put on a shelf and 3 years from now it's going to be in a box in my garage, just because it's taking up space. None of that matters. The things that are going to matter are our family and memories and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a perspective change. Well, I got through that, but I hit this all the time with people. Life is going to happen to you in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully not health. For some, it will be health. It might be somebody in your family with health. There's these curveballs that happen all the time. Things that are just out of our control. Are you ready for those? Are you ready for the interest rates to be what they are? Do you have any control over the economy? We don't. I don't have any control over any of this stuff. I can control how I respond to all this kind of stuff, whatever. And I think just it gave me a whole new perspective on everything when I went through that. And, for about 6 months, my wife and I had no closings of our own because we could afford not to. We had our team bringing us deals. We had rental properties bringing us income. We had another business paying us passive income. Like, I wasn't stuck on this one stream of income. My God, if we don't have a closing in 3 months, I'm out of business. That's where most agents are today.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have to be that way. Get yourself set up and prepared and ready for when, not if, but when life happens, because it will happen. And it's almost like become like a mission for me to just like help people like get out of this box that you're in. Let's help you build your business, and let's help you build a business, not just a job that's just transactional income, because there's so many better ways to do it. Yes, get that transactional income, but there's better ways to structure your business where it doesn't rely 100% completely, totally on you. Because now you're in trouble if something happens to you. Is your family ready for if something happens to you? I don't know. Most people aren't. Whatever. I was taken out for 6 months and we got through it. Fine. No problem. Money wasn't the issue. We could focus on my health, on my marriage, on my family, just getting through that time. And so it's just become a passion for me to try and help agents get ready, for when things happen, because it's going to happen in some way, shape, or form.
I tell you, the other funny thing about agents is there are no retirement parties for agents.
Oh, I've never been to one. Ever.
I've been to funerals.
I've been to realtor funerals.
Yep. And they were still trying to show houses the day before, right?
Oh, there's a lady here in town. She was huge in town, and no joke, the story, everybody tells this story. She was literally in the hospital on her deathbed, and she was signing paperwork for a deal or something. I'm just like, absolutely no, thank you, no way, no how. I'm out. Like, if it comes down to that, that's what I'm known for. That's my legacy. Man, he was great at selling houses.
No, everyone, there's simple ways to pull yourself out of that space, right? And just join and commit to other organizations and things, right? Just be a part of other communities. Don't just be the agent, right? I join a lot of communities. I do a lot of network, events and stuff just to help everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you do. I've seen your podcast. I love that you're pulling in agents and just You're in that same boat. And I love the way your business is structured. I mean, the time you get with your kids, it's so obvious, Shaune, since I've known you, family first. That's what it is. It takes precedence over your business and whatever. God will just bless that. I mean, that's just how it should be.
Amen. He has. Yeah. I mean, I do. I have 4 beautiful babies and a wife that respects and loves me. I mean, I'm in a good space for sure.
You are in a good space.
All right. I'm going to post that. I think I'm going to jump on your webinar. You got me sold too. I'm ready to do some
Come on,
funnels
Shaune.
and some areas that I want to grow too.
Yeah.
Send me the link when we get off. I
Okay.
want to get the link to your webinar and then I'll post that in there as well. I think we've been pretty thorough and covered everything I wanted to cover with you. And I'm sure you and I will probably do another one in a year because a whole lot of other things will happen in that period of time.
Yep,
So
for sure.
thank you so much, Jeff, for jumping on and being a part of this and being open and sharing. I always appreciate that when agents are just open and sharing what's been working for them. And I look forward to the next one we do.
Sure. I've made lots of mistakes along the way, Shaune. We all do. But you pick yourself up and you keep going. You learn from it. You don't let it get you down. You just learn from it and you move forward and you grow from it. I'm growing today. So you just keep going.
Awesome. Thank you guys for jumping in and joining this podcast. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. I've got a podcast coming out every week, and I'm excited to have really good guests coming up. I'm sure Jeff will probably even refer me a guest, and I look forward to the next time. And again, subscribe, and I'll send you links in this post as well. Thank you guys. Have a high performance week. That wraps up another episode of Real Estate Success DFW. I hope you're leaving with new insights that push your real estate career forward. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with fellow agents who's ready to succeed. And if you're interested in working together or have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me directly. My personal phone is 214-228-0383. Let's connect and make real estate success happen together. Until next time, keep pushing forward. I'm Shaune Corbett, and this is the Real Estate Success VFW. Have a high performance week.